You've been lied to about wealth your entire life. They told you to work hard, save money, and one day you'd be rich. But Naval Ravikant, a man who built a nine-figure fortune, says that's the exact formula for staying broke forever. Getting rich is not about working harder. It's about understanding how wealth actually works. And here's what makes his philosophy dangerous to the status quo. He gave it all away for free. No course, no coaching program. Just the raw blueprint that Silicon Valley billionaires used to build empires. Wealth is not earned, it's engineered. Today, I'm breaking down the 10 principles Naval used to escape the rat race permanently. These aren't motivational quotes. They're mental algorithms that reprogram how you see money, work, and freedom. If you're tired of trading time for money, if you feel like you're running on a treadmill that's going nowhere, what you're about to learn might be the most important 15 minutes of your financial life. Escape the trap. Naval starts with a truth that cuts deep. If you can be replaced, you will be replaced. And if you can be replaced, you'll never be rich. Think about that. Most people spend their entire careers becoming slightly better at something anyone can do. They compete for jobs, negotiate for raises, and feel proud when they get a 5% bump. But here's the uncomfortable math. You're not going to get rich renting out your time. You must own equity to gain financial freedom. When you work for an hourly wage or salary, there's a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. You can only be so efficient. The wealthy don't play this game. They build systems, create products, and own pieces of businesses that generate money while they sleep. This isn't about being lazy. It's about understanding leverage. A doctor who trades time for money makes good income. A doctor who creates a medical device company creates wealth. Same knowledge, completely different outcome. The question isn't how much you can earn per hour. The question is, what can you create that earns without your presence? This shift in thinking is where wealth begins, but understanding the trap is just step one. What comes next is identifying your unfair advantage. Specific knowledge. Naval's second principle destroys the traditional education model. He says, pursue specific knowledge, not general education. But what is specific knowledge? It's knowledge that cannot be trained. If society can train you for it, eventually it can train a computer to do it, or someone cheaper. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion, not whatever is hot right now. Specific knowledge is knowledge that you cannot be trained for. It's the weird combination of skills that makes you irreplaceable. Maybe you understand both technology and psychology. Maybe you can write code and tell stories. Maybe you have deep expertise in an obscure industry combined with sales ability. These combinations can't be taught in a classroom because they emerge from your unique life experience. If this is making you rethink your skill strategy, hit like and subscribe to keep uncovering these wealth principles. The next one might change how you approach your entire career. Naval was a philosophy student who learned to code. That unusual combination created his edge. Your specific knowledge is hiding in the things you do naturally that feel like play to you but look like work to others. What's the thing you obsess over that nobody else around you cares about? That's your starting point. But specific knowledge alone isn't enough. You need a vehicle to multiply it. Leverage secrets. Here's where Naval separates from every other wealth guru. He identifies 3 types of leverage, and only one of them requires permission. The old leverage was labor, managing people. You needed to convince others to work for you. The second type was capital, using money to make money. But you needed rich people to give you that money first. Both require permission. Someone has to say yes. Code and media. Naval says the new leverage is permissionless. Code and media. With code, you can build a product once that serves millions. With media, you can reach the world while you sleep. An army of robots is freely available. It's just packed in data centers for rent. Think about what this means. A teenager with a laptop can build software that competes with billion-dollar companies. A content creator can influence more people than a TV network. You don't need investors. You don't need employees. You need skills and internet access. The wealthy understand this shift. They're building digital products, creating content libraries and coding applications that scale infinitely. The question is, which type of permissionless leverage fits your specific knowledge? But there's a deeper philosophy behind this strategy. Accountability pays. Most people hide from accountability. They want safe jobs with predictable paychecks and someone else to blame when things go wrong. Naval says this is exactly backwards. Embrace accountability and take business risks under your own name. Society will reward you with responsibility, equity, and leverage. When you put your name on something, two things happen. First, you're incentivized to make it excellent because your reputation is on the line. Second, people trust you more because you have skin in the game. Anonymous workers are interchangeable. People with personal brands are irreplaceable. Fear transforms into reward. This is why Naval built his reputation publicly, sharing ideas under his own name for years before any financial return. He became known for clear thinking about wealth and philosophy. That reputation became an asset more valuable than money. People sought him out for investments, partnerships, and opportunities. Your reputation compounds like interest. Every piece of work you put your name on either adds to or subtracts from that account. Are you building an anonymous career or a personal brand? The difference is the difference between renting and owning your future. Speaking of ownership, Naval has a controversial take on what you should actually be building. Build or join. Naval is blunt about this one. You either build a business or you join one as an early employee with equity. There's no third option for wealth. Ownership, that's the only path. But here's the nuance most people miss. You don't need to start a massive company. You need to own a piece of something that can scale. Naval invested in over 200 companies before Uber, Twitter, and others made him wealthy. He wasn't building those companies, but he owned equity. Without ownership, your inputs are very closely tied to your outputs. You're essentially being paid for your time. Even if you work for a company, negotiate equity. Join startups where your contribution matters. Take calculated risks on businesses you believe in. The salary is the trap. It feels safe but caps your upside. Equity is uncomfortable because it might be worth nothing, but it might also be worth everything. Wealthy people collect equity like regular people collect paychecks. They're playing a different game with different rules. One successful bet can outweigh decades of salary. Are you accumulating assets or just accumulating hours worked? This brings us to Naval's most counterintuitive insight about how to choose what to work on. Play long games. In a world obsessed with quick wins, Naval says the biggest returns come from playing long games with long-term people. Compound interest applies everywhere, not just to money, to relationships, knowledge, and reputation. When you play long games, everything compounds. A 10-year business relationship is worth more than 10 one-year relationships. Deep expertise in one field beats surface knowledge in many. Trust built over decades opens doors money can't buy. Short-term players optimize for the next transaction. Long-term players optimize for the 100th transaction. Naval spent years building relationships in Silicon Valley before seeing financial returns. He read deeply on topics most people skim. He maintained friendships for decades, played long-term games with long-term people. This is his secret compound formula. The wealthy aren't playing quarterly earnings games. They're thinking in decades. They know that real wealth takes time to build, but also takes time to lose. Patience isn't just a virtue. It's a competitive advantage in an impatient world. Quick money comes and goes. Compounded money stays. But to play long games, you need to understand Naval's radical idea about choosing partners. Partner wisely. Naval drops a bomb with this principle. Pick business partners with high intelligence, energy, and above all, integrity. Integrity is the most important because the other two can destroy you without it. A smart, energetic person without integrity will rob you blind and work overtime doing it. Most people evaluate partners by their skills and track record. Naval evaluates them by what they would do when no one is watching. Would they tell you about a mistake that costs you money? Would they honor a verbal agreement when written contracts don't exist? Would they protect your interests when you're not in the room? If you can't decide, the answer is no. This applies perfectly to partners. If you have doubts about someone's integrity, those doubts are data. Trust them. The wealthy are extremely selective about who they work with. They'd rather work alone than with the wrong person. One bad partner can undo years of progress. One great partner can multiply everything you do. Your network is your net worth, but only if that network is built on integrity. This selectivity extends to an even more fundamental choice about your work itself. The money game. Here's where Naval gets philosophical. He says most people misunderstand what money actually is. Money is not the goal. Money is a tool for freedom. Freedom from money worries. That's the real goal. When you have enough money that you don't think about money, you've won. Not private jets and yachts. Just freedom from financial anxiety. The purpose of wealth is freedom. Naval argues that beyond a certain point, more money doesn't buy more happiness. But up to that point, money absolutely buys freedom. Freedom to say no to bad opportunities. Freedom to wait for great ones. Freedom to spend time with people you love doing things you care about. Most people chase money for status symbols. They want to look rich. Naval says look at what money actually buys. Time. The wealthy buy their time back. They hire people for tasks they don't want to do. They create systems that generate income without their presence. They invest in things that compound while they sleep. Money buys time, which buys freedom. Are you trading time for money or using money to buy back your time? This mindset shift leads to Naval's most powerful reframe about work itself. Work like play. Naval's most quoted principle might be his most misunderstood. He says, find work that feels like play. Play, this doesn't mean work should be easy. Play isn't easy. Watch children play and you'll see intense focus, frustration, and effort. But you'll also see engagement so deep that time disappears. If you're not earning money in your sleep, you'll work until you die. The wealthy have found work they do even if they weren't paid. Naval loves thinking about philosophy and investing. He'd do it for free, and that's exactly why he's wealthy from it. When work feels like play, you have infinite energy. You'll outwork competitors who are forcing themselves. You'll learn faster because you're genuinely curious. You'll persist longer because quitting feels worse than continuing. What feels like work to others that feels like play to you? That question is worth millions. The intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what the market values is where wealth lies. Most people pick careers based on expected income. The wealthy pick careers based on expected energy. What would you do for free that others would pay for? That answer might be hiding your specific knowledge. But Naval has one final principle that ties everything together. Judgment supreme. Naval saves the most important principle for last. In the age of infinite leverage, judgment becomes the most valuable skill. Everything else can be learned, hired, or automated. Judgment cannot be outsourced. Judgment is knowing what to do in situations that weren't covered in any textbook. It's pattern recognition from experience combined with clear thinking. It's the ability to make decisions under uncertainty when the stakes are high. Judgment requires experience, but can be built faster by learning foundational skills. This is why Naval obsesses over reading and thinking clearly. Good judgment compounds. One right decision at the right time can change everything. Bad judgment at the wrong time can destroy everything. The wealthy develop judgment by studying history, reading widely, thinking deeply, and learning from both their mistakes and others. They're not just accumulating money. They're accumulating wisdom about when and how to deploy it. 1. Read philosophy and history. 2. Think in probabilities. 3. Learn from failures. 4. Study mental models. 5. Practice decisive action. Naval reads 2 to 4 hours daily. Not for entertainment, for judgment. Every book, every experience, every conversation either sharpens or dulls your decision-making ability. What are you feeding your judgment? Naval Ravikant didn't become wealthy by following conventional advice. He studied the game, identified the real rules, and played accordingly. Seek wealth, not money or status. Wealth is having assets that earn while you sleep. Everything we covered today connects. Your specific knowledge combined with leverage creates scale. Accountability builds the reputation that attracts opportunity. Ownership gives you upside. Long games let everything compound. Good judgment knows when to deploy it all. Reprogram your wealth code. The wealthy aren't lucky. They are systematic. They understand that wealth is a learnable skill, not an inherited trait. Naval proved this by giving away the blueprint for free. He knows that most people won't apply it. They'll nod along, feel inspired for a day, and return to trading time for money. But some people, maybe you, will actually use this. You'll identify your specific knowledge, find your leverage, build your equity, and compound your way to freedom. If you made it this far, comment specific knowledge to prove you understand what separates the wealthy from everyone else. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's much more to uncover about the millionaire mindset.